Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking the science of simple daily movement and transforming it into the exact biological blueprint you need to rebuild your body and reverse disease. If you thought walking was just a mundane way to get from point A to point B, well, get ready to completely change your perspective on what this movement actually does to your anatomy. So, what if I told you a simple daily habit could literally rebuild your brain and reverse disease? We really need to start by reframing how we think about walking. It's not just a leisurely option, and it's definitely not just a gentle weekend activity. It is a non-negotiable daily biological requirement to prevent the physical decay that's caused by sitting. Our bodies are these incredibly complex machines designed to move, and when they don't, they literally begin to rust.
All right, let's start at the very top of our human machine. System Upgrade 1, Brain and Mental Health.
35 million. That's a staggering number, right? The crucial point here is that sedentary behavior actively accelerates the onset of conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's. There are over 35 million people suffering right now, and studies from institutions like the University of Kansas show this number is projected to double in the next 20 years. Sitting all day isn't just bad for your posture, it's actively aging your brain. Now, here's the mechanism the fitness industry kind of tends to ignore: the hippocampus. It's your brain's command center for memory and learning. And when you walk, you directly stimulate it. Walking forces oxygen-rich blood right into the brain and triggers the release of neurotrophic factors. You are literally stimulating the growth of new neural blood vessels and cells. You're effectively reversing the clock on brain shrinkage and physically building a bigger, more resilient brain with every single step. And get this, forward motion also works absolute miracles for your mental health. It physically burns off cortisol, the stress hormone, and releases a flood of endorphins. There's this fascinating study in the Journal of Psychiatric Research that looked at 50 individuals with major depression. They found that just 30 minutes of daily walking served as essentially a chemical exorcism for depressive stagnation. Simply put, severe depressive states and forward physical motion are basically biologically incompatible. Moving right along to System Upgrade 2, the engine. That's your heart, lungs, and surprisingly, your eyes. We've all been conditioned to think we absolutely have to run to be healthy. But the American Heart Association has completely debunked this myth that you must run for optimal heart health. When it comes to preventing coronary heart disease and stroke, walking is just as effective at scrubbing your arteries clean. It acts as a natural beta blocker, widening arteries and lowering bad cholesterol. And the best part? It does all of this without the massive cortisol spike and stress that comes from extreme high-impact cardio. Now, looking at the lungs, think of them like giant filters. When we sit all day, they stagnate. Walking acts as a super powerful aerobic catalyst. It forces your diaphragm to work harder, pumping fresh oxygen into the bloodstream. But the hidden benefit here is that deep, rhythmic breathing expels stale waste gases and toxins that just sit and accumulate in your lower lungs when you're sedentary. Flushing out this respiratory system directly strengthens your immune barrier, which keeps you from getting sick. Okay, this brings us to one of the most surprising facts we're covering in this explainer. You are literally walking away from blindness. Now, how exactly does moving your legs fix your eyes? Well, it's all about fluid pressure. The Glaucoma Research Foundation confirms that walking acts as a secondary pump. It regulates blood flow and systematically lowers the intraocular fluid pressure that silently builds up and literally crushes your optic nerve. High-intensity exercise can actually sometimes spike this pressure, but walking perfectly stabilizes it. Next up, System Upgrade 3, the fuel system. We're talking digestion and a pancreatic reset. 6 times. A massive 6 times difference. That's what Duke University found in a 6-month trial that actually pitted runners against walkers to measure glucose tolerance. And guess what? The walkers didn't just tie the runners, they absolutely destroyed them. The walkers demonstrated a massive 6 times greater improvement in glucose tolerance compared to the folks who are running. So why exactly does that happen? Well, walking basically trains your body to process sugar super efficiently over time. When you sprint, your body burns sugar furiously in a panic. But walking creates a steady, efficient insulin sensitivity. This allows your pancreas to produce way less insulin, giving this crucial organ some desperately needed rest. If you're pre-diabetic, sprinting might just burn you out. But this hidden mechanism of efficient sugar processing, achieved just through a daily walk, can literally save your life. And hey, let's not forget the other end of the fuel system: waste removal. This completely relies on peristalsis, those wave-like muscle contractions that mechanically move food through your digestive tract. Your gut is a muscle, right? If you don't move, it doesn't move. A massive study of over 150,000 people revealed a stark correlation. Sedentary people have a much higher rate of dying from colon cancer, while active people survive. Why? Because just a 30-minute walk mechanically stimulates this peristalsis, beautifully regulating bowel movements and drastically lowering your risk.
All right, down to System Upgrade 4, the chassis. That means your bones, muscles, and spine. So consider this really cool concept, piezoelectricity. Your bones are alive, and if you don't use them, they dissolve, leading to terrible conditions like osteoporosis. When you walk, the low-impact strike of your foot actually creates a small electrical charge right in the bone. This charge acts as a direct signal to cells called osteoblasts, telling them to get to work and build new bone tissue. So instead of high-impact running, which can cause microfractures, walking electrically signals your skeleton to fortify itself into actual armor.
And this deeply impacts back pain, which is pretty much the modern plague of the office worker, right? Your spinal discs do not have a blood supply. They are basically like dry sponges that only get vital nutrients when they're squeezed and released. Walking provides exactly this mechanical pumping action. You aren't just walking, you are mechanically oiling the rusty hinges of your spine. It also strengthens the erector spinae muscles that hold you upright, serving as a super powerful cure for modern back pain.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Let's get into the user manual, the daily FIT formula.
To actually achieve all these physiological shifts, you can't just casually stroll aimlessly while looking at your phone. Here is the exact scientific blueprint: frequency, intensity, and time. The FIT formula requires you to walk frequently, ideally every single day, to send a daily signal that reprograms your cells. Next is intensity. A leisurely window shopping stroll just won't cut it. You need to hit the talk test zone at about 2 to 3 miles per hour, meaning you should be able to hold a conversation, but you shouldn't really want to. Finally, time. 30 minutes is the absolute magic threshold where these biological shifts kick in, with 6,000 steps serving as a really excellent baseline target to start with.
Now, to really perfect this formula, keep these daily execution orders in mind. First, lock in your form, keep your spine straight, bend your elbows at 90 degrees, and stabilize your pelvis. Next, never wear flat shoes with zero arch support, or you'll totally destroy your feet. Always drink water before you walk so your biological engine doesn't seize up. Remember to swing those arms. This simple movement actually engages your upper body and increases calorie burn by up to 10%. And finally, try to make it a morning habit at the exact same time every day to powerfully reset your body's circadian rhythm.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. Tomorrow is a lie. Start today. Look, the pharmaceutical companies and the massive gym industries frankly hate this information. Why? Because this daily cure is completely free, it's highly effective, and it's entirely within your control. So the ultimate question for you is this: will you just sit back and let the rust take over your machinery, or will you stand up, put on your shoes, and take back your biology today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go get moving.